How's it going, everyone? My name is Aria Black, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk. Right, we're live. Let's have a look here. Right. So, welcome everyone to another episode. And real quick before we get started, I'm going to do my usual stick of plugging The Adventures of Taylor in Outer Space, which has now landed on Indiegogo. So you can find the link in the description below. When you sign up to this mailing list, you will be receiving free exclusive merch courtesy of Mary Boy's star Chubb. In this collection, in this Taylor's collected edition, you will be receiving all 6 released Taylor's mini comics. You will be receiving a massive bonus section of material where you will see everything throughout the evolution of Taylor's, all the way from his original incarnation, all the way through to his current Comics Gate incarnation. Like I said earlier, you will be receiving free exclusive merch in the form of an A3 folded poster and trading card with artwork by Chubb. On top of that, upon full funding of this campaign, we are going to unlock the very special 7th mini comic, which is of course going to be a teaser or prelude to the first full-sized Taylor's issue. There we go. So, without further ado, guys, let me bring on today's featured guest. We got John from Beyond. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, bit of a small show, but we tend to get a good chat going, and it's always, a little bit of help's always good, isn't it?
Oh, man, right. It's all good. And I like Taylor's, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, you've seen it, have you?
Mm-hmm. I forgot which show I first saw it on. I signed up. I got onto the sign-up sheet. It was one. I think it was the first time I actually saw you. And I don't think it was. You know what? It was Don Chin's show.
Probably. Yeah, that was the first. I think that was the first time I went live on someone who was in the States.
Okay.
On someone's show over there. Yeah, probably. But thanks for that anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
I watched a stream with you on Lucifer's channel earlier.
Yeah.
Just to get to familiarize myself, and then I sort of stopped watching as soon as you started talking about the book to save the spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
So, first things first, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into comics.
All right. Well, I am an old school comics head. I've loved comics since I was a kid. I think if it weren't for comics, I probably wouldn't have been reading. You know, before the direct market and comics would just be at like the local drugstore, my mom would buy me comic books. And sometimes her friends would be like, "Why do you buy your son comic books?" Well, he'll read. It's actually something he'll read. So, you know, that's a place to start.
Even though they have like 5 words per book, it's something.
Yeah. but I always loved the medium growing up. You know, it's funny, you kind of look back and you look at some of the artists and you realize like, man, these guys were really talented and they were making some amazing books. And, you know, just having the benefit as a kid of just having your imagination expanded and you just, you know, you realize like, man, you can do anything in this medium. So I was always writing and drawing, and my drawing was never really up to par, but it didn't stop me from doing it. So the writing is much more of that's me down the fairway is me writing. The art, I need to leave to people that do it really well. So.
Right. What sort of books were you into as a kid?
So I was into a lot of superhero books. So I knew Superman and Wonder Woman and Batman from old Super Friends cartoon. I knew Spider-Man from an old Spider-Man cartoon, so I picked that up. And I knew Iron Man, but what was kind of where we would go to the drugstore, they had like 1 spinner rack of comics. And then they expanded to 2, so this is a big deal. There's 2 whole spinner racks, and Miles maybe on a good day will get me 2 books, but most likely he's only going to get me 1, so I'm really picking and choosing. So usually I didn't stray from the characters I knew, but one day I saw 1 book and it just looked too good. It had a giant Crusher Creel on it, and he was holding, you know, his characters I didn't know. I didn't know Crusher Creel. I didn't know Miss Marvel. He was holding Miss Marvel up in the air like he was King Kong. And I saw Iron Man. Look, there's Iron Man. Iron Man's attacking him. and the Beast was attacking him. I'm like, is that guy a good guy or a bad guy? What's going on here? The Vision's attacking him. I'm like, who is this guy? But I picked up the book and I fell in love, and there was Avengers 182, and that's how I started collecting the Avengers as a kid, and getting to know a lot more of the heroes in the universe, and then all of a sudden get more interested in characters like Thor and all these different characters. So I mean, comics had just kind of exploded, and then I started finding out I had buddies that were reading comics, but everybody was on the DL about it. Had a buddy that was reading Daredevil, so I'd go to his place and I'd read his Daredevil, and he'd read my Avengers. I actually remember being at his house when I read The Death of Elektra. It's just crazy. Just like events that you're just like, oh my gosh. And so comics, it wasn't something that you professed openly back in the day. It was one of those things that you just kind of did on the DL. So it's like you kind of start finding, and there's no internet, so it's like it wasn't easy to find like your niche. It wasn't easy to find like your folks. I think today it's like there's like the CG community. I mean, it's like we all been kind of magnetized. We've all kind of joined the community, and we've all found each other.
Oh yeah.
But it was more of a challenge back then. But you'd find folks, and then as the direct market appeared. Then all of a sudden you start seeing a buddy of yours at the comic book store. You're like, hey, I didn't know you. Yeah. Okay, cool. So it was, it was a good time. And then when I was in college, a buddy of mine, he got a job as an editor at a label called Motown Machine Works. And the music company Motown, they decided they were going to get into comics because at this time, Image was huge. And there's this ideology that like, hey, you can make $1 million a book, an issue in comics. So Motown's like, let's get into comics. Obviously, it's really profitable. We see
how that went.
Yeah, well, they no longer have a comic book division. That's how that went. But it was fun though. Michael Davis, who was one of the founders of Milestone, he set that deal together. So he was the CEO of that division. He brought some artists because he had a studio in New York. He brought some guys from New York to California, and it was just my buddy who was an editor who was a California guy. Everybody else was from New York, but we're in LA. And then my buddy got me on board as just a gopher. So I was literally a gopher. So like go get coffee. I was not a talent guy. Everybody else there was like a talent guy. I was like a gopher guy. That was my job. But I was always pitching my boss ideas, and I was always hanging out with the cool kids. And we were always, we were either playing games or we were kind of riffing off stuff that we could do in the books. And kind of fast forward a couple years, one of the books that I really loved was called Trouble Man. And I used to beg my boss to let me write it. He's like, no, I've got somebody to write this, somebody that's actually known, but I still wrote because like, it's just kind of like fan fiction. I would still write, and I would work with my buddy who was the artist. Well, long story short, they put the solicitation in Diamond, and the guy who's supposed to write the book ghosts.
Right.
So my boss says, it was a Thursday, he comes to me and says, okay, John, here's the deal. You're going to come back on Tuesday. You're going to have a full issue of Trouble Man written, and you're going to have a story arc for the miniseries. He's like, no pressure, because this is already in Diamond. No pressure. He's like, but if this sucks, you don't have to ever worry about working in this industry again. So it ain't going to happen. So he's like, so I was like, okay. So I felt the pressure, like he said that, like kind of like the sweat, my armpits, like just kind of like, I kind of had like that.
Tell me what happens next.
Yeah. So then what happened was he didn't know until years later that I already had a foot up. I'd already been working with the artist Chuck. We had been riffing off ideas and things that Chuck wanted to see done, things that I thought would be cool, because Trouble Man was like a mix between, I always call it like Mobius and Daniel, what's up? Mobius and Men in Black.
Oh, we know Daniel, do we?
Yeah. So I see Daniel in the chats. And so this is one of the things that I love about the community. You see people in the chats, and it's like, hey,
Is Daniel right there? The boss was a cake hole.
You know what? He's all right.
Okay.
He's you know what? It's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's like, especially like over time, and like a lot of time has passed, and you kind of get everything all kind of smoothed out. But it was a ride. So we ended up getting that book, 3 issues of Trouble Man published through Image. And what's up, Commie Mark? And then basically at that point, Image realized that they weren't going to be making $1 million a book. It was more like 20 something or 30 something $1,000 a book, and they're like, we didn't get into the game for this. We didn't sign up for this. Yeah, we didn't sign up for this. So then they disbanded that whole thing, quite unfortunately. But it was still a fun ride, and it gave me an opportunity to work with some folks, and it gave me just more of a hunger to do it. But it's like I wasn't able to parlay that into more work because it was a very saturated market, and like if you just have the books that Marvel and DC are putting on the shelf, and if you basically have 1 or 2 dudes that are writing the preponderance of the books that Marvel and DC are putting on the shelf, you had like kind of Jeff Johns is doing all the DC stuff, and then you have like, so like there wasn't a lot of wiggle room, and there were people a lot more famous than me, and obviously, well, it's questionable now whether they're better writers or not, but a lot more famous than me that, so there was no space. But I always loved the medium. I always continue to write. And you fast forward today, and now there is a place for all of us. There's a place for everybody that has an idea to get their idea out, to get it to the right folks, because that's the other thing. You talk about these different shows. It's never about the amount of people that watch a show, because these are people that love comics. So it really doesn't matter. You can go on some shows where there's a whole bunch of folks, but none of them are interested in what you're doing. None of them, and honestly, I think that's what the big two don't realize. They cater to a bunch of people that don't even care about what they're doing. So you've now taken your own fan base, you've shoved your fan base aside, you've catered to folks that don't buy comics.
Exactly.
So, that's problematic. And I've spoken with different folks, and I know I'm hopping all over the place. Hey, how, you're a part of CG. Why would you do that? Blah blah blah. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's really really simple for me. I love buying good comics, and it is my desire to make good comics. That's it. And there's a whole bunch of us that have the same mentality. That's it. We're making comics, we're buying comics, we're loving comics.
Exactly. You know what? I've always thought they should make a movie about Comicsgate. And your origin story would be the perfect origin story for the main character. Grows up, gets into comic books, discovers a passion for the books, but then eventually notices the sort of downfall of the mainstream industry.
Yeah.
Then gets online and discovers there's a whole massive community here before entering into the Comicsgate scene themselves. So, that was a really interesting origin story. I like that a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Nice one, my dude. Let's real quick before we move on, give a shout out to the chat. So we got Commie Mark here. Hail Mark. Hail Burnt Scribe. Hail Daniel. Commie Mark saying, I'm all for dressing how you want and fuck gender norms or whatever. But what's with the Shazzy looped earrings? And you says it's fashion, Mark. You wouldn't understand.
Oh man.
There we go. Awesome. So so you said the book that sort of started for you was Avengers then. Have your taste changed at all as you got older? What are you sort of into now?
Just expanded. I still love the superhero genre.
Oh, yeah.
But even back then, my taste expanded. Like I used to read a book by DC called All Out War. Like I'm not a warmonger or anything, but it was just like a cool G.I. Joe-ish kind of comic book. So I mean, I've always been interested in and a proponent of different styles of books. And being someone that was growing up with comics in the 80s and 90s, that really blew my mind. Like especially like a year like 86, all these different things started happening. Whether it was Watchmen, Death in the Family for Batman, and then like I got introduced to Simon Beasley and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, you can do that in comics? Then all of a sudden you realize that like you can do anything. I'm just like, is this still a comic book? What is this?
Mind blown.
Yeah, oh man, mine is absolutely blown. And you go from kind of this fun but narrow view of what comics are to all of a sudden you realize that you can do anything in comics.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in CG. I mean, I love the different styles of books that are coming out. I mean, I didn't know anything about Charlie Chaplin, until I saw, Charlie's London, and I was fully intrigued, and I backed the book, and you realize that, like, you know what, if you do your story well, you can do anything with comics. Anything.
Well said, my dude. Speaking of which, different types of comic books, your book, Magna, the Last Pantheon, I'm rather confused about the sort of genre of this book. We see the first visuals, which is this farm girl fighting this werewolf looking guy.
Yep.
And then later on, the other images are these sort of Greek god looking types. What on earth is this book about?
Oh man, it's about all that and more. One of the things that I love about the medium is you're not budget constrained other than your time and maybe page rates, but otherwise the things that constrain TV shows and movies, that doesn't happen in comics. Your constraint is your imagination. So this is a hodgepodge, and I really write all of my projects are kind of hodgepodges. So there's period piece elements because it's occurring in 1942. So there's a lot of amazing and horrific things happening from a historical perspective. It's also, a lot of high fantasy, and as well as, straight up, D&D style, action that's going on. Along being a comic book guy, I'm a big lover of mythology. I always loved mythology growing up. I was a big time D&D player growing up, and could just spend hours just in the compendiums or in like the source material books. So one of the things that I love about mythology, and I always found intriguing, is that in all these different cultures, the mythos have a beginning, middle, and ending. So there is a total story arc already created in these different cultures. And I just said, hey, what if I tied the endings of a whole bunch of different mythos together in one story? So, I was just kind of playing with the different mythos, playing with the time period. And I think it came together in a fun story that's still relatable, because at the end of the day, all of us at some point want to kind of find out what our purpose is, or try to fit in, but we don't. It's like a, square peg in a round hole, and we're trying to find our place. And that's a lot of this is, it's a hero's journey, but it's also a journey of purpose, and just trying to figure out, what in the world am I even here for? And that's a lot of the heroine's journey. And then there's just a lot of other fun elements, because I love mythology.
Oh, okay, me too. I definitely do. This book looks crazy good. On top of that, Burnt Scribe says the art is amazing.
Thank you,
I have to
Burnt.
agree with that. And some of the artwork on this, which we'll go through in a bit, looks insane. Daniel asks, is the Korean mythos included?
Not this go around, Daniel, but you know what? This is not the end. This is called The Last Pantheon, but there's more in store after this.
The Last Pantheon.
There you go, my friend. It'll be the penultimate pantheon.
The penultimate pantheon. Back on the topic of my loopy earrings, left ring is to open a portal to the Pegasus Galaxy. Right ring is to open a portal to the Andromeda Galaxy.
See?
A dangly pair of stargates. Right. I wasn't expecting this reaction today. Mark's right. Smang that like button. Okay, Daniel's telling that subscribe button. Thanks,
That's
guys,
awesome.
in the chat.
That's awesome.
Right. You're already doing well. I don't know what the rate is in the United States, so I must be just almost $9,000 then.
Yeah.
We've got almost £6,500 in sterling here. That's amazing. 225 backers. Some campaigns are lucky to reach that amount. That's insane. You've really got a good following here. Let's have a look through the campaign then.
Yeah.
So you got this cover first.
Yeah. So there's 3 cover options. This is the first one. This is where, this is kind of the heroine's call to action.
Yeah.
She's tucked away in a fictitious city of Tree City, Idaho, when this werebeast comes knocking at her family's door, so to speak, and she has to use powers that she's kept repressed to protect her family. And this opens up a whole set of questions that lead her to learn that her parents actually adopted her, and then she goes on a quest of her lineage to find out who she really is. So that's the first cover with the werebeast, which is actually a spawn of Fenrir. So that creature is always a werebeast. The moon is there just because the moon looks awesome in the picture, but that creature does not need the moon to be a werebeast.
So I know Fenrir as the giant wolf in Thor.
That's right.
That's the one.
That's right.
Neve says she loves the werewolf. That's because Neve's a massive furry. Mark says John is a great guy who's entertaining and generous with his time. That's the secret to his success.
Oh, thanks,
you know what?
Mark.
You might be right.
Appreciate that.
And this book is good, of course.
Thank you.
What about this cover then?
So
tell us about the artist as well. Who did this one?
Okay. So the first 2 covers are by Elizabeth Tork.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing artist, and she's just a really nice person. I've been very fortunate because I've worked with just nice people, and I think that's the fun of it. I mean, who wants to work in comics and not have fun?
Well, yeah, you got to have a good team behind you, haven't you?
Got to have a good team and have a good time, with your team. Yeah. So, with her, I was able to give just kind of a general idea of what I was looking for, but she's really the one with the first pick. She's really the one that architected that first image, and she just did it better than I even described what I was looking for. I mean, just so much about that image that I love. And, it leaves so much still to the imagination, and just you're like, what in the world is going on? And it's just like, you see her looking over her shoulder at this werebeast, and my natural reaction is I'm running as fast as I can, but she's got a clenched left fist. You're like, what is this chick gonna do? It's like, really?
I like it. I like it a lot. It's awesome. Yeah. I'm gonna have to study this picture some more, learn how to draw fur, learn how to do it properly.
And this one, this picture is a little bit of an homage. So this is a little bit of the action that's going on in Europe at the time, in Finland. So that's actually a Russian tank that she's lifting there. She's protecting a girl in a Finnish village. So I'm sure Mark probably appreciates the.
Was I right in thinking? I swear I saw on Twitter a couple of days ago someone saying this is like the exact tank they would have used in the part of the world.
That was from Charlie's London,
right?
And she's phenomenal, by the way. I mean, her level of knowledge. I mean, she should go on Jeopardy and just like win buku bucks. But like, it's one of those things where it's like artistically, we wanted to make this as in the right ways, as true to life as possible. So this is like a Russian Panzer tank, but she knew that. Like, I wouldn't have known that other than the fact that we looked this up for reference purposes, but she knew it by looking at the undercarriage of the tank. I was like, holy smokes.
Whoa.
So she's like, oh, I'm glad that, you used a real reference. That this is really a Russian tank. And I'm like, holy smokes.
And you didn't even realize that yourself at the time?
Not to the extent that she did. I mean, we knew that we used what we thought was the proper reference. But fortunately, she confirmed that it actually was the proper reference. And I would have been really moted if I gone on her show and that reference not been right.
That's awesome. Mark says the tank cover makes him feel cold too.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I love. It's like kind of at the bottom of the image, you almost have like snow blindness.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like kind of that white, and then you see the heroine is kind of like in the background. It's a little bit dark, you know, under the tank. But it's definitely an iconic pose. It harkens back to from the original Superman movie, Baby Kal-El lifting the tank. But it also harkens back to Alex Ross did a prestige style Wonder Woman book, and in that she's lifting a tank. So definitely wanted to take one of those kind of iconic poses, and this is like kind of like one of those level up type moments where it's like, okay, she's strong. Okay, she can lift a tank. Okay, that's more than just eating biscuits and gravy on a farm strong. She's got something else going on.
That's awesome. It's an awesome power pose. I love it.
Yeah.
Hail Jim the Love Pigeon. Caw. Daniel says the chick says, "Dance with me, baby." Werewolf insta-tamed to submission.
There you go.
Sure. I'm sure he's talking about this one up here. Tell me about this cover down here.
I kind of call this one the Behold the Pantheon cover. So this is you can see the Pantheon members literally kind of looking down their nose at her and not being particularly impressed with what they're beholding. And you can just imagine what her facial expression must be as she's looking up to these godly beings and the angelic light, the godly light coming down, you know, from above. So I really, you know what, you can't go wrong with any of these covers. You know, I was so happy with the way these covers came out.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. Who did this one?
Okay, so funny story. So Elizabeth, she wasn't able to draw the third cover. So she's like, I'm going to get my brother. He'll draw. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So, you know, you're going to get your brother, right, to draw the cover. And I'm like, here, I'm going to go from like her being an amazing artist to her brother who probably can't get any gigs. And I couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, they are just an amazing family of artists, you know, so, you know I had my,
visually, they look, these, you could see these could be siblings. Very similar, both awesome quality of artwork.
Yeah.
I think you stumbled upon a little gem there.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's just pure luck, my friend. I stumbled across them back in the day on DeviantArt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I reached out to her, and you know, I think the beauty of the art community in general, it's, you know, reach out to folks and, you know, don't be a jerk, and you know, be cordial, and you never know what can happen, because at the end of the day, all of us have objectives and dreams. You know, we all want to create, we all want to be a part of awesome projects, you know, and part of it, I guess, is also letting people know what you got going on and letting them know that, like, hey, this is a project that, you know, you can get people excited about, and then also let them know that you're not going to stiff them. You know, you'll take care of them. You'll pay for their services, which is important for, you know, as someone who's not an artist. One of the things I've always done is make sure that I'm taking care of the artists. And one of the reasons why this book was produced before the campaign is I didn't want people to think that the success of this campaign will determine whether somebody will get the book in their hand. Because there are two things that I was contending with as being someone who's not the artist. A, no matter what happens, the artists have to get paid. And then B, no matter what happens, whoever backs the book's got to get their book. Right. So it took a little bit more time getting the book together, but having the book together, and it's not a strategy anyone has to use. It's just a strategy I use since nobody knew me from Adam. You know, so it's like, well, you could at least know that you're going to get the book. How's that? You know, I'm not going to, you know, it's not going to be, okay, well, not very many people back, so sorry, I'm going to use your book to pay my phone bill. You know, your money that you sent me to pay my phone bill.
So you funded production of this then off your own back beforehand?
I did.
Oh
I did.
wow.
I'm not necessarily saying people should do that.
Well,
But
I
it
did a
is
similar thing
it is a
myself
strategy.
where like 90% of my book was created prior to my Indiegogo. It's
Yeah.
literally just the last couple mini comics to go. So yeah, it's definitely a viable strategy for launching a comic book.
Yeah, and I think it's helpful. At the end of the day, as a community, every book that gets fulfilled is a thumbs up. And it's rare and it's far in between where people don't fulfill. But when they don't fulfill, it does something kind of to the psyche of everybody that is backing books. It generates fear. Oh well,
Right.
I'm going to back this book, and I mean I get my product. So you know what? I'm just going to back the folks that I know deliver. And the challenge with that is then it's like it becomes a closed market again. If we're not willing to back new projects, new stuff. So for me that's actually a big thing. It's actually a big deal for me, especially with so many good projects. I'm really trying to back the projects of folks that are newer. I'm happy for those that are established, and I want them to kick butt, but I also want to make sure that this community thrives. So much good stuff in it.
That's the right attitude to have. Yeah, fully agree with you, man. So speaking of backing books, let's talk through your tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is how people back your book. Our featured tier is the Marcio
Abreu.
Abreu commission.
Yeah, so he does the pencils in the book, and he does a fabulous job.
Right.
I just love him as an artist, and he was willing to provide a commission. So you get a copy of the book and a commission, which is a bust up of any character of your choosing, pencil and ink, for I guess I'm not too sure what the equivalent is in pounds, but 115. Which is a really good kind of a deal, when you're getting commission work plus a book. And the book is 76 pages. And that we already have the files, the printer files. So we're going we just need to get like a proof copy, and then we'll start getting these things into people's hands.
Oh wow. Yeah, for those interested, it's £84 sterling, which for an original piece of artwork plus a book is crazy. That's a very low entry point for that tier. Awesome. We've also got the digital tier, which I imagine is fairly straightforward.
Yep, exactly. So you get everything in the digital, all 76 pages.
Awesome. Then we've got a Magna beanie. That looks wicked.
Yeah. Man, it was funny because I haven't done like swag like that before. So Shay the Red, she was just like, you know what? You need to do something. So she totally came on. She totally helped me. So I mean, she kind of took the logo and made the beanie, and I'm like, oh man, this looks awesome. So there you go. You can get a Magna beanie.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
The logo looks great on that. Good contrast and all that. Also, for those in the UK, £15. That's reasonable for a hat.
Yeah.
It's a good price point. $20 US.
Exactly.
What else have we got then? We got the paperback cover. Mm-hmm. Oh, the variant cover. So imagine the same book, 3 different covers.
Exactly. So you get all the covers. There's 3 different cover options for the book.
And you said 75 pages, right?
Yes, sir.
For $25, £18 sterling, that's insane. 75 pages. Yeah. If standard comic book is 22 pages, that's insane for that kind of money. Yeah.
So just trying to give people enough to chew on that I hopefully they'll want to come back.
All right. What am I looking at here? Magna print trifecta.
So those are prints. Those are prints of the 5 covers.
Oh, okay. And then I imagine the next one is you get all 3 covers of the book, right?
Exactly. So you get 3. So you get the 3 versions of the book with each of the different cover options, and then the double trifecta is you get the 3 books and the 3 posters.
Oh, cool. That's a cool tier for £87 sterling, $120. That's awesome. Bargain. These ones are interesting.
So this is my guy, Rod Looper, because this is my second comic book campaign. My first one was for Black Tiger, and he was Black Tiger. It's around here somewhere. He was the artist for Black Tiger, and he did a little bit of work in this book as well. And he's providing a full body pencil and ink commission. Plus, you get a copy of the book for $200 US, USD. So, the artists, they've been very generous. They've brought down their commission rates because they really want to make it accessible for people to get some commissions. And same as Marcio, they will make a commission of anything. So even if you have your own character, you can give them references, and they'll do your character or another character that you want. So it doesn't have to be Magna or anything like that. Any character you want.
Oh wow, that's awesome. What about this last one, which is sold out? You've sold one of one.
So this was a funny tier. One of the backers is in Tel Aviv,
Right.
and he got one of the bigger packages, but then he wanted to get basically, I didn't make like an everything tier, and he's like what kind of hodgepodge, he wanted all these other things, but if he did it hodgepodge, the shipping would have been crazy. So I was just like, look, if you want all this stuff, I'm gonna make you a tier, and and knock out the shipping. so basically that was his tier.
Oh man, that's awesome of you. Make your backers their own special tiers. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's an awesome little story.
And I think it's also just because I'm ignorant and I don't know how to really run these campaigns. I'm sure there's better ways to do that. People are like, you could have done X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Oh man, that's cool. Right, so I tell you what, we're coming to the end of the show, but before we finish up, with most guests on here, I play a little game. I ask them a couple questions.
Okay.
I don't have loads today, but I have a couple questions that I ask everyone, so
Okay.
I'll shoot them your way.
Okay.
Hollywood's called. They told you they're going to make a movie of Magna. It's your job to cast the movie. Who are you going to cast in the lead roles?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Your main character, what's her name?
Her hero name is Magna.
Right.
Her civilian name is Cotty Skogsholm.
Right.
Man, she's kind of a larger than life chick.
Let's think. She's a redhead, right?
And she's a redhead. You're gonna have to help me with casting her, man.
Oh, you know what? There's a lot of redhead superheroines in Comicsgate.
Yeah. I guess Comicsgate is making up for like what Hollywood is doing, like removing all the redheads.
Yeah.
So you can get your redhead fix here in
the only one I can think of right now is Karen Gillan.
Mm-hmm.
She's an action star. She played Nebula.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually true. And isn't that crazy? Like I don't have anybody to play that heroine. That's nuts.
I'm surprised you haven't thought of it before.
I've never thought of it, man. I mean, like, what's funny though? I'll tell you, I have imagined it as like an animation.
Right.
But I've never imagined it as a live action. And I guess this is my bias. Like, I live in Houston now, but I was born in LA and I lived most of my life there. We just moved out here like a little over a year ago. And then I know their proclivities and I know what they're probably want to do with properties, and it's just so unappealing to me, that like if a film were going to be made of this project, I would want it to be somehow an independent film. But the problem then is the money, is the budget for it. But like I would be afraid of what Hollywood would do to this.
Would you consider directing like Todd McFarlane wants to, or would you hand it off to someone else to to manage it all.
I've got some buddies that are directors and that really know what they're doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like, so I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a cool little story. So if you go to the Beyond Time Inc. YouTube page, I don't post things very often, but in 2014 we did a short for one of my properties, Black Tiger. So we did a short, and it stars Robin Shu, who's Liu Kang, the original Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat. It was a 20-minute short that we did, and it won like Spirit of Comic-Con award and stuff like that. So my buddy, I've got a couple folks that I know that are directors and that are really good directors, cinematographers. You know, I can appreciate good shows, but I don't think I would do a good job directing a show. You know, I would definitely want to have my input, but I would probably leave it to somebody like that, like my buddy who directed that short film.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check out that film now.
Yeah, check it out, man. It's I'm terrible about, you know, just promoting stuff in general, but like there's a couple cool things on there. That's there, and like there's a 10-minute Magna animatic that me and some artists put together there. So check that out. Awesome,
man. I'm gonna have to look that up quickly in the chat. All right, me bobbers. We've got Dave who is eating his KFC.
Nice, Dave. Making me hungry.
Mark says Karen Gillan ain't buff enough for Magna.
That's my challenge, Mark. I mean, it's like, you know, she's a larger than life character, and it's like, who do you get to play somebody like, you know, like Magna? I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, the same situation. Have you seen the casting for the new She-Hulk series that's going to be on Disney Plus?
I have not seen the casting. Who's playing She-Hulk?
I forget her name. It's the girl from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, if you know that franchise.
So she's a great actress, but she can't be. I mean, are they going to do CG for She-Hulk or something, or is she?
No idea.
How do you pull She-Hulk off? That's my.
I know.
You know.
That's the thing I was thinking. She's too small and skinny. Whereas She-Hulk is like a 7 foot tall Amazon. Like,
yeah.
You know. Same color. Dave says Gina Carano, which I was thinking just then. Dye her hair red, she might fit right in.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Comicsgate has sort of unanimously fallen in love with Gina Carano lately.
Yeah.
But yeah,
she's awesome.
I'd have to agree. I vote Gina for your character.
There you go. That's a great vote.
Daniel says Jessica Chastain, but I can't picture her in my head, so I'm not sure.
I'd have to look to see who Jessica Chastain is and what she's. Yeah. I'll just take a quick
Let's look it up real quick.
Take a quick peek, see if I can find her.
Oh, I know, but again, way too skinny.
Oh yeah, I see who she is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the challenge with a character like this. I mean, you know, this is really a supernatural character. You know, and it's the reason why, you know, with the Hulk, you know, other than Lou Ferrigno, the best thing to do was to go CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jessica's probably too small for that role.
Yeah, the challenge though is like to go CGI on, you know, this isn't like a green girl. This is a ginger. So it's like it's kind of tough to go CGI on somebody that's just like she's like Big Barbie. She's just a big woman. She's just a tall woman. You know. So I don't know. So I don't know if Hollywood will be ready for my show. You know. I don't know, maybe there's an Amazon out there that we just don't know of that, you know,
maybe we'll have
absolutely fit the bill.
I have to talent scout in like the WNBA or something.
Yeah, or maybe, you know what? Maybe if it's not the WNBA, maybe it's like volleyball.
Yeah, most probably.
Maybe so. Maybe so. You know,
Gina's too old for Magna.
Yeah, that's true. There's got, you know what? I vote. I vote that there needs to be a commission that scours the probably volleyball and who knows, maybe even like some of like the Olympic type athletes.
Oh yeah, most probably.
Yeah.
Chloe Grace Moretz, who plays the psychic in Kick-Ass. I don't remember the character's name. But
yeah.
she's way too small, surely. She's not very tall.
Yeah. That's the challenge too.
Gwendolyn Christie. Let me look it up.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh, I know. Let me throw it up on screen for the audience.
Okay.
There's literally a search suggestion, tall, Gwendolyn Christine tall. So yeah.
So she is tall. Oh my
she
goodness.
may fit the role.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But if you want tall, it's Gwendolyn Christie.
That's hilarious. I don't know, man. They may have to do like they did with Leia in Rogue One.
And just CGI from old footage, was there? Something like that.
Yeah, just may need to do the CGI.
Okay, we got one more over here. And that is, I ask everyone this: if you could have a crossover with Magna and any other CG project, what would that be?
I think it would have to be Hammerella.
What was that?
Hammerella.
Amarella.
It's another chick with a hammer.
Oh,
Ryan Wynn's Hammerella.
I know. I was talking about this with the Wise Guys on Wise Guys stream.
Yeah.
Let's look that one up quick.
Yeah, I think Hammerella and Magna. I think that needs to happen. Have you seen Hammerella?
Yeah, I was on I hopped on Wise Guys stream a couple of days ago and we were talking about it there.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I can't find it now, of course. Someone drop the link in the chat and we'll find it and we'll talk about it.
There, let me see if I can find it.
On the topic of Gwendolyn Christie, 1.91 meters tall, 6'2".
There you go. So she's got the height.
So what's the deal with Hammerella then? What's that sort of about?
So it's, I guess Hammerella is part deity and part witch.
Right.
But she's in, a different universe, the universe of Ryan's making. But she is another, awesome chick with a big hammer. And it's like if you do it like classic comic book style, I mean, it's like when characters meet, they got to tussle a little bit,
There's definitely a lot of people in Comicsgate who are into chicks with big hammers. So
I'm gonna send you the link to Hammerella right here.
yeah, do it. Let's have a look.
It's a fun project. It's a fun looking project. I backed it, and it's part of because Ryan is one of the Alterna guys. So
really?
Part of his Gods and Gears universe.
Ah, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Already on £10,000.
Yeah, kicking butt, man.
That is a lot. 342 backers.
Yeah.
Oosh. What's the featured here? Slamming Hammerella set where you get a Hammerella book, exclusive print, button 2-pack, sticker 4-pack, keychain, Gods and Gears issue 1, Gods and Gears issue 2, issue 3, and issue 4. There's a lot of stuff available in this campaign.
Yeah, because he has a lot of pre-existing IP. Because Gods and Gears, all those books were already published by Alterna. So he has, he has a fan base, and he was able to, because he's just a great dude. He's able to bring some of his fan base, over to his campaign as well. Rightfully so.
Yeah, I've seen these books floating about Gods and Gears.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Book and display. That's wicked.
Yeah.
Custom Alterna case.
It's just a good looking project.
Oh man, it looks crazy. They got a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Good artwork. I like the design of the character. They've got also the clothing merch. Are you planning to do any other clothing, any other hats, hoodies, whatever?
I think next go around I'll get a little bit more adventurous, and
Oh, yeah.
Probably, because I like t-shirts. I did honestly. The reason why I did the beanie is if somebody gets a book and a beanie, there's really no additional shipping for me. I can put the beanie in, so you can get if you get a book and a beanie. If you get a beanie as an add-on for a book, there's like just de minimis shipping that's added to it. So it's like you can get that without feeling like, oh gosh, now I've got another item that is going to have a lot of shipping attached to it. Because I was like, if you get like a hat, you can't bend the hat. You have to make sure that you're shipping the hat properly.
So I guess for convenience, the beanie's good for now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hammerella is very stylized, which is cool, but they look weird crossing over with Magna. Well, it depends who draws it, I think. Who's the artist?
Yeah, I think ultimately, the artist would have to kind of meet in the middle. Probably make Magna a little bit more cartoony and probably make, Hammerella a little bit more realistic.
Check this one out. Arya's rings will open the wormhole for the two universes to join.
Dude, okay, now I have the story.
Okay. There we go. Glad I could be of service.
Yeah, see, you're like an interdimensional being now, are you?
I'm the god of the two universes.
Yes, you are an interdimensional being. You are the portal.
Right, so we're going to wrap it up now because we're coming to the end of the show. So is there anything else you want to get off your chest, let the audience know? Anything about your campaign? Anything about future campaigns?
In probably in the next month or so, I'll start a mailing list for the next Black Tiger volume. So those of you that bought the first Black Tiger book, thank you very much. That campaign was kind of the one that kicked us off. So we're going to continue that adventure. And then after that, later on in the year, we'll finish up Magna. So we'll bring you the second volume of this story arc and close that story arc out. But Magna we should be getting the proofs. Mixum is pretty fast. So we should be getting the proofs within a week and a half. And then we'll start, once we get the books ordered, then we'll start getting them in people's hands.
Awesome. Nice one, dude. So thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Real quick, before we finish up, remember, guys, Magna on Indiegogo, going back at today. They've got some awesome tiers. Check it out for yourself. Remember, the links to John, his Twitter, and the Indiegogo are in the description below. While you're down there checking that one out, make sure you head on over to The Adventures of Taylor in Outer Space, now on Indiegogo. The link is also in the description. Check it out for yourself. Remember, when you sign up, you will be receiving that free, exclusive poster and trading card with art by Mary Boy's legend, Chubb.
That's awesome. When you sign up, don't forget to confirm the email.
Yeah, remember, confirm those emails.
Yeah.
Daniel says thanks for the stream. And thank you, Dan, for coming along
Daniel.
and watching. Right, so once again, everyone check out the links in the description. Thank you all for coming today, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.